Welcome into this week's devlog for Slammer, an FPS game that I am solo developing in Unreal Engine 5. I'm happy to say that I was able to finish up the revive feature, as you can see here, and we can move on to bigger and better things next week. It ended up being much more complicated than I had originally anticipated, so I'm very happy I was able to get this done and it's not going to push into the next sprint. So without further ado, let's get into the tasking that got done this sprint and how we ended up to the point where we are now. If you remember at the end of our last devlog, I had mentioned that the mates widget had a bug with it where it wasn't replicating damage properly across the network. So that was the first thing I tackled this sprint, and the fix for that wasn't that horrible, didn't take that long, so that was good. During the testing of that bug fix, though, I realized that my original design for the squad mates widget, where you just see one health bar, was not great from a gameplay perspective. With the reason for that being that when you're playing with teammates, you want to be able to see how many plates they have and be able to remind them to put their plates in, give them plates, or any other action related to that. And the result was what you can see now, where we have the original mates widget with the actual health, and then we have a small plate bar above that showing the amount of armor plates that the player has. I might do some tweaking to the color of the armor plate widget here, because it is too similar to player color 1, kind of that blue, but we'll see, and we'll leave that to a future day. And once that was in, I moved on to the main task for the sprint, which is getting revive working. And this is another one of those left-hand actions that I discussed last time, where we stow, perform the action, and then unstow. And it essentially fits right in with our adrenaline and armor plate actions, because we want the revive to be cancelable and to give the player more agency where we can. I then had to implement a whole bunch of code changes because the revive system is a bit more complicated when it comes to stances than armor plate or adrenaline, because we want the reviver to protect themselves a little bit and to make the animation look okay. We put them automatically in the crouch stance if they're standing. If the player is already in the crouch stance or they're prone, then we'll just leave them in that stance and that's fine, but we cannot be reviving in the standing stance. We also have to make sure to lock motion so that when you start reviving somebody, you can't just go run away and keep the revive going. You really have to commit to that action, although you can cancel it with something like pressing the fire button. And we also want to make sure that we're allowing the reviver to look around while they are performing the revive, so they can keep an eye out for enemies coming and decide to cancel the revive and engage if needed. And once those code changes were done, I had to make a little revive animation, as you can see here in Cascadeur, and then hook it up to our animation notify system for props. And we're actually just reusing the adrenaline syringe here. No need to reinvent the wheel. I then just had to add another notify for the sort of stick the revive sound that we're going to play. And again, we're just reusing the adrenaline sound as a placeholder. And eventually, hopefully, we'll get a better sound. And after hooking all that up inside of the editor, our base revive functionality is done. But if you look more closely at the clip that's playing, you'll notice that we aren't actually done, because we have to make that widget that we're seeing that cues us to revive our teammate. And this is actually the first instance of a templated widget that we'll have that is essentially the interaction queue widget. So at a high level, this will show us when we're in range of performing an action. It will tell us how long that action will take, if there is a time limit for it via the progress bar, and the actual time text. And it will also show us the keybind, whether we're on mouse and key or controller. And another thing that I built into this is the progress bar in time text will obviously be collapsed if we're doing an instant action, like let's say later when we implement looting, it'll just say press F to pick up whatever loot it is, and we won't need a progress bar for that, so it will be hidden. And I also had to make a few code changes with this because we have to make sure that we're only showing this widget when you're in range to perform said action. So that was a bit of a lift on the engineering side, but once that was done and I hooked up everything in the widget blueprint, you get to see the result you're seeing now, which gives us the cohesive, completed revive system. And as you've heard throughout this devlog, this ended up being quite a complicated feature to implement, so the fact that I got it done all in a week is pretty impressive, I'd say, and I'm very happy with how this sprint went. We still have quite a few features to implement before Test Drive 2, but we are well on our way now, and I'm very happy with the cadence and the progress. And with that said, definitely subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with these weekly devlogs and see where this project goes. We're closing in on Test Drive 2, and I'm excited for you guys to try it when it is finally released. And as a reminder, the game that you're seeing played in the background here is Test Drive 1 of Slammer, and that is already released on Steam at the link in the description, so definitely check that out and shoot some bots with up to 3 friends, try all the loadout features, and let me know what you think. And if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching, and definitely leave this video a like or a comment, or why not both if you want to say hi and support the channel. Likes and comments are very important for a small channel like mine to get this awesome project out to more people, so any help that you can give me on that front is greatly appreciated. And with all that being said, I've been Steve. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you next week.